Good afternoon, participants. I hope you all are doing well. Today we have Sruthi Prem with us. She is the Department Head of Counseling and Behavioral Intervention at Mom's Belief. So, over to you, ma'am.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Taran, and welcome to all the beloved participants here today. Like Taran introduced, I'm Shruti, and today I will be your main presenter. So, the workshop and the areas that we will be, talking about today will be parental stress and anxiety, and how each of you here can manage it. So, the workshop will cover these areas: understanding stress and anxiety, what are the kind of stressors parents go through, what are the signs of unresolved stress, and finally, what are the ways in which you can regulate your stress and anxiety, right? So, taking into consideration, all of the crisis that the entire world is going through, I would just want to start off this workshop by asking, how are you feeling today? I mean, you could just, raise your hand if you want to talk about it, or you can just put it in the chat box, because I think we are a small group and I want to make it as interactive as possible. So if you would like to talk about how you're feeling today, or, what are the kind of emotions that's going through each one of you, you can always put it in the chat box so that I can see, or you can, raise your hand. It can be just, apprehension about this workshop, or it can just be very good. Okay, great. Any other emotions that all of you all are feeling at this point? It can be fear, it can be sadness, it can be anxiety, it can be stress. All right. So, I mean, let me share my experience right now, what I am feeling. Definitely, I am feeling a little stressed. I'm feeling a little, apprehensive or uncertain about the situations here in India, as well as, in the other countries with reference to coronavirus. So, it's definitely affecting a whole lot of people around the world. So, I just want to kind of start off with a breathing exercise where we can all take our time to just relax for a couple of minutes. So I have this breathing exercise right here. What you all have to do is just close your eyes, sit straight, sit back, relax, and just follow this meditation that I have here. You can just follow the voice that will be guiding you, and after that we can take this forward. So I will be starting the uh, recording now.
Close your eyes and rest your hands on your knees. Bring your attention to the touch of your body on your seat. Feel the weight of your body on your chair or cushion. Make sure that your back is straight and that you're comfortable. Take a few deep breaths. While you're breathing deeply, relax your shoulders, your stomach muscles, the muscles in your face, your hands, and your legs. Let go of all the tightness in your body. Now bring your attention back to your breath. Notice what it feels like as it enters through your nose, goes down through your throat, filling your lungs, and back out through your nose. Notice your stomach and chest rise and fall each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. And just allow your breathing to be natural and relaxed. Now bring your attention to the feeling of your breath in your nose. Feel your breath as it comes in and goes out. Just focus on this sensation, paying attention to each time you breathe in and each time you breathe out. As you inhale, maybe your breath feels cool, and as you exhale, maybe it feels a little warmer. When your mind wanders, or if you become distracted, just notice what's going on in your head, and then gently bring your attention back to your breath, going in and out. Focus on the feeling of your breath and allow thoughts and feelings to come and go in the background. Now gently bring your attention back to the touch of your body on your seat and open your eyes.
Okay, so I am not sure, how many of y'all did it, but for those who did do this meditation, I just want to talk about why I, wanted to do this, because many a times when as parents we have a lot of stressors, and there's a lot of sources of anxiety that all of us are going through, right? And because of that anxiety, because of that stress, we often forget to kind of focus on our breath, focus on our body. And sometimes we are also in the autopilot mode, which means that let me give you an example. So in an airplane, right, there is an autopilot mode where the pilot does not really navigate the plane, but there is an automated system that navigates the plane. And this particular phenomenon, right, or this particular mode does not just exist in airplanes, it also exists in human beings. Let me give you another example. So just imagine that we are, driving back from work or from some other place to back home, right? And we are reaching home, and somebody asks us, how many signals did you stop at, or how many right turns did you take? It is most likely that most of us won't remember how many turns we took or how many signals we stopped at. And this is exactly what I mean by automatic pilot mode. We just drive ourselves, right? We don't really pay attention to what is happening here and now. And this is one major reason when negative thoughts or thought patterns arise in us, right, with a lot of anxiety, with a lot of stress, it kind of attempts to push you down into a spiral of negative thoughts. So to bring us back from that spiral of negative thoughts and stress and anxiety, what we can do is we can do a breathing exercise. We can become aware of our breath. We can become aware of our body, our sensations, our physical sensations, which will help us ground, right? And that will make us feel better. So this is just one of the exercises that I have just covered in this workshop. There's more to come. As I go further, you will understand why I am doing this and why this exercise was very important. So just moving on. Now, talking about anxiety and stress, right? Firstly, anxiety. What is anxiety? So anxiety kind of presents in different ways for different people, right? It can cause us worry. It can make us believe that there's something wrong with us, or we are feeling ill. And it is very uncomfortable and scary, as these symptoms really overwhelms you, and it doesn't let you stay calm. So what are some of the symptoms of anxiety? Blurred vision, headaches, excessive neck pain, muscle aches, sore muscles, right? You have difficulty swallowing, you might have panic attacks, quick breathing, shallow breathing, you might feel sick, you might feel nausea, you feel like throwing up, right? There's a racing heart or palpitation, stomach ache without a cause, and your muscles feel like they are weighing you down. So that's exactly what anxiety seems like. Now, coming to stress, how do you understand stress? So, what is stress? Stress is basically the body's response to physical, mental, or emotional pressure. Right? It can cause chemical changes in the body and in the brain, and it can raise blood pressure, heart rate, your blood sugar levels. That's when you have high BP or low BP, right? It creates a lot of chemical changes in the body, and when you're undergoing a lot of stress, you feel frustrated, and stress can lead to anxiety, it can lead to anger, and it can lead to depression. So what are the kind of stressors you as parents face? I mean, could you first, anybody can talk about these stressors, so that I can understand from you what are the different stresses you are also going through. Anybody who wants to raise their hand, anybody who wants to share it in the chat, can do that now. Anybody? I know it's hard to kind of speak up in a group like this, but we are very few people, so you can always participate and let us know how you feel. Right, juggling responsibilities. Yes, Miss Smita. All right. So, there's a lot of responsibilities that parents have to juggle with. It can be a different kind of roles, right? It can be that of a parent, it can be that of a daughter or a son. It can be, your professional roles. So there is a lot of things that you have to get done during a day, and other stressors can include changing schools for their children, and you as a parent as well have to adapt to the online classes, online modules, before your child can adjust, and moving to another city, another country, moving houses, that can cause a lot of stress, and having negative thoughts about oneself. Like I said, there's a lot of negative thoughts about negative thoughts that come into us with reference to professional lives, with reference to like personal lives, right? And Miss Grace has shared that child is in online school. I feel so stressed every time I catch her playing, even she's in class. I understand. So these are some of the stressors as parents have to go through, and it is very difficult. And having at least one child who has some kind of medical problems, or it can be some kind of emotional problems, behavioral problems. These are the things that really puts parents also in a very it's like a question mark for them, that what do I do going further. And having very low levels of social support, there is no social support, there is no family support, or being a single parent can be quite difficult, right? Having a young child, because having a young child is an all different situation, with you have to be there for the child throughout the day, throughout the night, and most importantly, working from home. Is there anyone who is working from home right now in this group? Anyone who is finding it difficult to work from home? Okay, all right. So, working from home also is becoming very difficult for parents, because it's a situation where you need to kind of attend the meeting, attend to the child, attend to others in the house. It just becomes very, very overwhelming, because there is a lot of things you have to get done in an hour or so. So it is definitely difficult for parents who are working from home as well. So So now, what are the kind of what are the signs of unresolved stress for you as parents? So when stress is not dealt with, right? What I mean by unresolved is that when you're not acknowledging the fact that you're stressed, acknowledging the fact that you are having symptoms of stress, symptoms of anxiety, what happens? What can it lead to? First of all, it can lead to decreased appetite. You don't feel like eating some days, and there, your eating habits are all over the place. You end up skipping breakfast, you end up skipping dinner, you're just not hungry, right? And there's a lot of repetitive headaches, there's a lot of repetitive neck pain, right? Basically stress. When unresolved stress occurs, what happens is your this part of your neck, right, your shoulders, your neck, the stress gets held up there, so there is a lot of muscle pain. There's sleeplessness. You cannot go to sleep on time because the entire day you have been juggling with other stressors, other responsibilities, and during the you don't have time to think about any of those stress that you go throughout the day. So what happens is when you come to bed, right, that's when you are getting some free time, and that's when you start thinking about these stressors, and you end up thinking about these stressors and losing sleep. That's how sleeplessness occurs. And upset stomach or weak stomach pain, there are other physical symptoms without any physical illness. You go to a doctor, you say that you have stomach pain, your stomach is upset, but there is no medical condition underlying that. So one thing that you should all understand is that when there is physical symptoms without any physical illness, it is a sign of unresolved stress. Now, these are the physical symptoms that I was talking about. What are the emotional or behavioral symptoms that show up? First of all, it can cause anxiety, it can cause worry, right? You are not able to relax. There is a lot of anger against your children. You easily lose your temper. You easily start crying. You're not able to control your own emotions. There is no emotional regulation, right? There's a lot of withdrawal. You don't want to be around anybody. You don't want to be with your children. You don't want to spend time with your children. Sometimes you have so many overwhelming emotions that you just lose interest in everything there, and that leads to a lot of depression, irritability. This can stress and anxiety can also lead to low sex drive, memory and concentration problems, right? And you're not able to concentrate in at work. You're not able to concentrate on what your child is saying. You're not able to pay attention to what your partner is saying, and you have a lot of mood swings. You feel like this second I'm very happy, but the next second I'm very irritated, I'm very sad. So these are some of the emotional or behavioral symptoms of anxiety and stress. Now, when do you think you can seek help? So, like I've said before, symptoms like being extremely withdrawn from family activities, not wanting to talk to any of your friends, your close ones, or your loved ones. You're feeling more and more unhappy. You have feelings of low mood. Feeling sad all the time, and you're having problems in your relationships. It can be relationships with your partner, it can be relationships with your family, it can be relationships with your children, right? You're not having a productive conversation with them. You're not able to have spend a quality time with them, and you're unable to control any kind of emotions that are coming to you. You whenever you're faced with the slightest amount of stress, you're behaviorally you're very engaged, right? You are showing a lot of anger, you're hitting your children. That might be one of the things. You are probably throwing things down and breaking it, right? So these are the signs that you really require some kind of professional help who will help you to regulate those emotions and regulate and help you not suppress those emotions but control those emotions. So these are two different things. The moment you suppress your emotions, what happens is you will never be able to kind of feel the relief that you actually require. But when you're trying to control and regulate your emotions, what you're trying to do is you're trying to find the adaptive ways of experiencing the emotions that you're having, the experiencing the stress that you're having, experience the anxiety that you're having, right? So definitely these are the signs of signs that you should be consulting a counselor, counseling psychologist, or a clinical psychologist, right? So coming to this now, what are the ways, that simple ways that you can manage stress? Because I have added here more generic ways of managing stress and anxiety, because every person goes through different sources of stress, just different levels of stress. The intensity that what the intensity of stress that I'm going through and the intensity of stress that any one of you are going through might be completely different. So some of the generic things that you can kind of do is first of all listening to music. So why listening to music is very important is because it really helps you helps release of some happy hormones in happy chemicals, sorry, happy chemicals in your brain. So listening to music, taking doing a simple technique such as 5 4 3 2 1 technique. So what you can do is, whenever you're feeling stressed, or you are feeling angry with your children, or there is some kind of argument that is occurring in the house, what you can do is you can simply step back. And it takes a lot to step back, it is easier said than done. But when you're stepping back, what you can do is you can identify the 5 things that you can see at that moment, right? You can identify the 4 things that you can hear at that moment. You can just step out on your into your balcony if you have access to one, or terrace, and you can see, you can look for the 3 things that you can feel with your hand, two things that you can smell, and one you can taste. So what will happen is we are calming down the senses, our own senses, right? Our own 5 senses. So what will happen is it will help us really reduce that momentarily stress that we are going through. And another simple technique is called 5 finger breathing. So what you can do is, basically, this is, you can hold up your hand like this, and you can take your other hand and trace your fingers. So while you're tracing, you need to breathe in and breathe out, just like this. You can just see. So when you're going up, you need to breathe in. So what I'm doing is, when I'm tracing my hand here, I'm breathing in through my nose. And when I'm coming here, I'm tracing my fingers through here, I'm breathing out. So what is happening is you're becoming mindful about your breath. You're by getting mindful about your body sensation. And this is a quick technique to really calm your nerves whenever you're feeling overwhelmed and whenever you're feeling anxious. And talking to a loved one, in fact talking to anyone, all of us require a person who we can kind of talk about what's happening on a day-to-day basis. It can be about our mood, it can be about the things that are happening at work, it can be your partner, or it can be any one who is a friend, right? Because we all need to have an anchor. It can be someone at work, right? It can be your mother, father, it can be your grandparents, right? Because that kind of emotional support can help you kind of push through the anxious feelings and the stressful feelings that you might be encountering on a day-to-day basis. And lastly, like I said, taking professional help is very important, because sometimes, even after following these simple exercises, or even after trying very hard to kind of regulate your emotions on your own, sometimes you might fail, right? But that's okay, you've tried, right? Which is a sign in itself that you need to kind of seek help from a third person who's a professional. So another important reaction to stress, whenever we're feeling stressed or whenever we're feeling anxious, what happens is we start breathing through our stomach. We start breathing through our chest. So instead of our stomach, we start breathing through our chest. Sometimes what happens, you can just notice, whenever you're feeling angry, what happens is you do that because there's a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety. So it's an I can say it's an automatic response, right? But when we indulge in this kind of chest breathing, what happens is there is an imbalance in the oxygen and the carbon dioxide levels. That is, there is a decrease in oxygen, there is an increase in carbon dioxide in our body. So what happens at that point is, our blood saturation level, right, the oxygen saturation in our blood gets there is an imbalance in that, and that can lead to a lot of other concerns, physical concerns, like sweating, palpitation, you have there's a high rate of high heart rate, and all of those things can happen. So how do you kind of understand if you are breathing right? So what you can simply do is you can keep one hand on your chest and the other hand on your stomach. I don't think you can see that on the video, but you can put one hand on your stomach. And what you can do is you can just take a few deep breaths. So when you're taking those deep breaths, just notice what is rising up more. Is it your stomach that is rising up more, or is it your chest that is rising up more? So when I'm breathing, my stomach is rising more than my chest, which means I'm breathing right. So if you are, trying it out, and if you feel that your hand on your chest is rising up more than the hand on your abdomen, then you're breathing wrong, right? You need to always feel, whenever you are breathing, you need to have your abdomen rising up more than your chest rising up. So this is one way to understand and be more mindful about the way you breathe when you are having a lot of anxiety, when you're having a lot of stress. And indulge in a self-care routine. So what does self-care routine mean? Self-care routine does not mean that you're going to the probably the salon to get a haircut done, or like get a pedicure done. That's not self-care. What is self-care? Self-care has three main important components to it. First of all, eating right, eating having a nutritious diet, having all the vitamins that you need, all the nutrients that you need, right? That is one. And having meals at specified times. Breakfast, not skipping any meal. Breakfast, lunch, and dinner, not skipping any meal, and keeping yourself hydrated, right? That is one component. Second, exercising, moving your body, right? Moving your body, it goes a long way in releasing a lot of happy chemicals in your brain, which lifts up your mood, lifts up your overall health, right? Your psychological health. And lastly, sleeping well. Like I said, creating a sleep routine, always sleeping at the same time, staying away from the from screens whenever just before sleep, because that acts as a stimulant to your brain. So what happens is you lose your sleep, you will end up losing more sleep. And having probably a cup of chamomile tea at the end of the end of the day, to just relax your body, relax your mind. And most importantly, doing meditation, breathing exercises. That's the most important in preventing anxiety and stress in each of us. So when I talk about starting a practice of mindfulness, like you can see, I've been talking about a lot of mindfulness, breathing exercises. So what is mindfulness? Mindfulness is nothing but being in the present, right? For example, I think there is a question here. How to no All right, so how to control overthinking in this stressful situation, right? So now, Farron, would you like to just tell us a little bit more about it, so I can just help you with it before we move on to the next meditation? In what kind of stressful situation are you talking about? Can you be a little bit more specific if you don't mind? Work stress. All right. Okay. All right. So what happens is when we are stressed at work, right? Many a times we do not have control on what we're thinking, and one particular thought gives rise to 100 other negative thoughts, right? And how can we avoid doing this? The only way to avoid doing this is by being present. So if you're working, if you're nearing a deadline, for example, and there's a lot of anxiety attached to that deadline, so what can you do at that point? When we are faced with a deadline, what happens is there's a lot of anxiety, and then we keep thinking about it, and we go on from one negative thought to another, right? So instead of focusing on the thought that is bothering us, or instead of kind of making judgments about the anxiety that we have during a deadline, what we can do is we can simply shift our focus, shift gears from those negative thoughts to what is happening right now. That can be our focus on our breath, it can be focus on our body sensations, and this can be achieved by mindfulness, right? So mindfulness is just focusing all of your attention to the present. And I'll let me tell you this, that this whole practice of mindfulness, right, it does not come very easily. It takes time, it takes practice, right? You need to do it on a regular basis to kind of get hold of those thoughts, right? Like I said, it's not about suppressing the emotions that you're having, suppressing the stress that you're having. It is about experiencing those emotions, experiencing those stressors, experiencing those anxiety, and then taking control of it. Because until and unless you don't acknowledge the fact that you are stressed, acknowledge the fact that you are feeling stressed, you are feeling anxious, you can absolutely do nothing about it, right? So mindfulness is simple if practiced on a regular basis. So for example, okay, I mean this is just another short exercise that you can see. You can see this gif on the screen, right? I request all of you all to just follow that dot, right, and just focus only on your breath, just for a minute. Okay, so what happened with this exercise is basically this is a mindfulness meditation, mindfulness exercise, breathing exercise. It's called box breathing, right? Now with this exercise, what we were able to do is that previously we were talking about a lot of things, we had a lot of thoughts, we had a lot of, you were talking about stress at work and all of those things. But the moment we did intentional practice of holding the breath for 2 to 3 seconds, exhaling, holding the breath again, and inhaling, what we shifted from the focus of those anxious thoughts or whatever we were talking about before to our body, to our mind, to our breath. And this is exactly what mindfulness is about, right? So I want to also, give you all just another practice, another meditation practice to help you, become aware of your emotions and, kind of recognize what are the kind of emotions that you're going through. So what you can do is you can just simply sit back. I'm going to be sharing some, some script with you, like I'll be guiding you through that meditation. You can just follow that and close your eyes, and at the end of the meditation we can kind of explore what emotions each of you all have gone through after that. Okay, so is everybody up for doing that? In the chat, can you just give me a thumbs up or something? Everyone else are also up to do it. I think we have 7 participants, so it would be great if I can get all the responses. Okay, great. So, what I want all of you all to do is just sit comfortably. You can sit on your chair, just drop whatever you have in your hand, right? Drop your shoulders. You can just sit back, close your eyes, and just bring back your focus to yourself, to your body. Just take a few seconds to settle in and take about 10 deep breaths. And focus all your attention on inhaling and exhaling. As you sit here, notice where your body is making contact. Your feet touching the floor, your back on the chair, or your sit bones on a chair. Notice your breath, focusing on each inhalation and exhalation, feeling or imagining the breath flowing into and out of the body. Now, slowly shift your awareness from your breath to your body and begin to scan through the body very slowly from head to toe, observing any feelings or emotions that are present. You might detect numerous feelings or emotions throughout the body, but for the purpose of this exercise, choose one feeling or emotion to focus on right now. Notice where in your body this emotion is located. What part of the body is holding this feeling? Is it your shoulders? Is it your back, lower back? Just notice it. How big or small is the feeling? Where are its edges? Are there any edges? Is it sharp, soft? How does it feel? Does the feeling have a color? And if so, is the color changing or remaining the same? Is the feeling heavy or light? Is the feeling moving or it is standing still? Is this feeling hard or soft? Is it rough or smooth? If I could touch this feeling with my hand, what would its texture be like? And if you were to give a name to this feeling or emotion, what would it be? Can you identify it? Can you give it a label? If a name for this feeling doesn't come to mind, that's okay. Be very kind to yourself and continue to observe the feeling in the body with a lot of curiosity and without any kind of judgment. Continue to get to know this emotion for another 1 minute or so. Just feel the emotion that you are experiencing completely. I shall count to 10, and as I stop counting, you can slowly open your eyes and come back to the present moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. You can gently open your eyes and take a minute to process the information, process the emotion that you have just felt. So, this is the first step in controlling overthinking in a stressful situation. We are, mindfully attending to the emotions are that we are, experiencing on a regular basis, and we are simply paying attention to the current emotional state we are in. We are not making any judgments, we are not asking any questions, we are just simply experiencing it. Only when you become aware of, your own emotions, your own feelings, can we start working on them. Only when we acknowledge, and this is exactly a meditation that will help you acknowledge the fact that, you are feeling a certain way, you are feeling sad, you are feeling happy, you're feeling anxious, right? And we are becoming more aware, not only about our emotions, not only about our, anxious feelings, but we are also becoming more aware of our breath. We are becoming more aware of our body. And this is exactly the kind of practice I urge all of you all to start practicing, because there is no, magic pill to kind of reduce the anxiety or, the negative thoughts that come into our mind. There is nothing to kind of make it go away immediately. So it is and must be an ongoing practice so that we can help ourselves becoming more aware, right? Only then we can make any kind of change in any form. So, anybody who wants to share their experiences, Farron, I'm so glad that you felt so relaxed. Anyone else who wants to share their experience with this particular meditation? Okay, Farron, that's wonderful that you're feeling relaxed. But for some of you who might have done it and is feeling a little overwhelmed or very disturbed, because a lot of emotions that are deep within us that might kind of come to the surface with this particular meditation. So what you can do to further regulate it is that you can just write down, after this session is over, just write down what you felt, how you felt, what were the emotions that you went through, so that you can come to terms with the fact that you are feeling this and you're just simply acknowledging it, right? And Grace, that's great. So any other, in conclusion, I would like to say that as parents, there is a lot of stress, there's a lot of anxiety, but there is no single magic pill, like I said, that will make these stressors go away or worries go away, thoughts go away, right? You need to first focus on becoming more aware of yourself, understand that your mind space can affect your children, so you need to seek help, right, before you feel like everything is out of my control. Identify what your stressors are, right? You can always create, bring a little bit of a change in situations that you are in right now, and do intentional practices of meditation, become more mindful. Mindful can also help in mindfulness can also help in regulating your reactions towards your children. The moment you become aware that you're feeling angry right now, you will be able to acknowledge that fact, and you will always be able to regulate the reaction with your children or with your partner. And lastly, with this workshop, definitely, you might not be able to react mindfully tomorrow or today, but be consistent with the practice. Be consistent. If you need more help or you need more support with reference to practicing mindfulness, you can always reach out to Moms Believe. There are beautiful therapists who practice mindfulness based cognitive therapy. So I would like to thank you all for coming to this workshop. And anything else? Grace, I used to have body massage every time I feel exhausted, but due to COVID, I can't do this anymore. 2 years, just realized. Great. I mean, that's. I hope you have recovered after COVID. Firstly, and secondly, you don't have to always, take care of the physical part of your body, because I think a lot of stress, a lot of exhaustion is also from the stress that you undergo, right? So, doing a simple mindfulness practice can really, really help you, Grace. And any other questions, any other doubts you have, you can put it in the chat box. That's great, Smita. That's great. I think all of us at this point, needs a little bit of mindfulness in our lives, because we are going through tough times, and I think this is one thing that can be done by anybody, any age group, male, female. So I think this should help. And I'm just posting another very interesting and very helpful meditation practice that you can do that improves sleep. In fact, so I'm just posting that here. You can just save it and do the practice on a regular basis. So if we are not having taking any doubts, then I think we can close it, right? Jalaj.
Yeah.
All right, great. Thanks to everyone for being part of this workshop. Looking forward to attendees like you, very enthusiastic attendees like you, to join our future workshops as well. Thank you. Thanks a lot. Take care.
Thank you, Shruti, for this wonderful session.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank
This
you. Thank you.
mindfulness practices. And thank you, participants, for joining, and have a good day.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
Thank you all.